Dr. Gina woke early the next morning with a plan. She had spent most of the night thinking about the Vorthok and their strange behavior toward humans. As a scientist, she needed answers, and she knew exactly where to look for them. The Galactic Archive was located in the heart of the station. It's a massive library that contained the recorded history of every species in the galaxy. Dr. Gina Day made her way through the busy corridors, past alien merchants selling strange foods and travelers from distant worlds. The archive building was impressive, with walls that seemed to stretch up forever and shelves filled with data crystals from thousands of different civilizations. A small, floating robot approached her as she entered. "Welcome to the Galactic Archive," the robot said in a pleasant voice. "How may I assist you today?" "I need to research the Vorthok species," Dr. Gina replied. "Specifically, I want to know about their interactions with other species over the past 10 years. The robot's eyes flashed blue as it processed her request. "Access granted. Please follow me to Research Terminal 7. The terminal was a comfortable chair surrounded by holographic displays. Dr. Gina sat down and began her search. At first, she found the usual information about the Vorthok: their incredible age, their advanced technology, their role as observers in galactic affairs. But then she discovered something interesting. According to the records, the Vorthok had changed their behavior exactly 5 years ago. Before that time, they had participated normally in galactic events. They attended council meetings, traded with other species, and even helped solve disputes between different worlds. But 5 years ago, they suddenly began avoiding certain areas of space. Dr. Gina checked the dates more carefully. The Vorthok had established their containment protocol. On the same day that humans achieved their first successful faster-than-light flight, it was not a coincidence. She dug deeper into the records and found something even more strange. The Vorthok had been monitoring Earth's radio signals for over a century. They had been watching human television broadcasts, listening to human music, and studying human languages long before humans knew that aliens existed. "Fascinating," Dr. Gina whispered to herself as she read through the files. The Vorthok had been particularly interested in Earth's history and archaeology. They had requested copies of every documentary about ancient civilizations, every archaeological survey, and every historical record that humans had ever broadcast into space. Meanwhile, on the other side of the station, Communications Officer Tyke was working on his own investigation. He had set up his equipment in a quiet corner of the communications center. Trying to intercept Vorthok transmissions, the task was not easy. Vorthok communication technology was far more advanced than anything humans had ever seen. But Tyke had an advantage. Earth's quantum encryption methods were completely unknown to most alien species. He could use human technology to decode signals that other species could not understand. After 3 hours of careful work, Tyke finally broke through their communication barrier. The Vorthok messages began flowing through his equipment, and what he heard made his blood run cold. The Vorthok were talking about humans, but not in the way he had expected. They were not discussing trade or diplomacy. Instead, they were using phrases that sounded almost religious or prophetic. "The sleepers wake," one message said. "The long cycle begins again." "Old protocols must be maintained," said another. "The watchers must remain at their posts." But the most disturbing message was repeated over and over. "They have returned, as foretold. The circle closes." Tyke recorded everything and rushed to find Captain Hyen. He found him in the diplomatic section of the station, talking with Ambassador Kai about trade agreements. Captain Tyke said urgently, "I need to speak with you privately. It is about the Vorthok." Captain Hyen excused himself from the meeting and followed Tyke to a quiet corner. "What did you find?" Tyke played the recorded messages for his captain. As the strange phrases filled the air, Captain Hyen's expression grew more and more concerned. "What do you think it means?" Captain Hyen asked. "I am not sure," Tyke replied. "But it sounds like they have been expecting us. Like they knew humans would eventually reach space." At that moment, Dr. Gina arrived with her research findings. She had printed out several pages of data from the archive, and her eyes were bright with excitement and worry. "Captain, I found something important," she said. "The Vorthok have been studying human history for over a century. Had been particularly interested in our archaeological sites and ancient civilizations. She spread her papers on a nearby table. Look at this. They've requested information about the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, the Mayan temples, and dozens of other ancient sites. They seem to be looking for something specific. Captain Hyan studied the papers. What could they be looking for in human history? I do not know, Dr. Gina admitted. But there is more. According to several alien species, Vorthok scouts have been found near ancient ruins on dozens of different worlds. They are always searching, always looking for something they call the markers. Tyke leaned forward. The markers? Kind of markers? Nobody knows, Dr. Gina said. But whatever they are looking for, it seems to be connected to very old civilizations. Civilizations that disappeared long ago. Captain Hyan was quiet for a long moment, thinking about everything they had learned. So the Vorthok have been watching us for a century. They avoid us now that we can travel through space. And they are searching for something related to ancient civilizations. That is correct, Dr. Gina confirmed. And from the messages I intercepted, Tyke added, they seem to think that humans returning to space fulfills some kind of prophecy. Captain Hyan made a decision. We need to learn more about these markers they are searching for, Dr. Gina. Can you access more detailed records about the archaeological sites they have been studying? I can try, Dr. Gina said, but I will need higher security clearance. We'll speak with Ambassador Kai, Captain Hyan said. As the leader of a new species joining the galactic community, I should be able to get access to more sensitive information. As they prepared to continue their investigation, Navigator Mingy approached them. She had been monitoring space traffic around the station and had noticed something strange. Captain, she said, the Vorthok ships are moving. They are repositioning themselves, but they are maintaining their exact distance from our vessel. Captain. Hyan looked toward the viewing window where the dark Vorthok ships were visible in the distance. They are tracking our movements. It appears so, Mingy confirmed. Every time we move, they move. They are keeping us at exactly 3 light years distance. Dr. Gina felt a chill run down her spine. They are not just avoiding us. They are monitoring us. Like they are waiting for something, but waiting for what? Tyke asked. Captain Hyan watched the distant ships and felt a growing sense of unease. The Vorthok were not just keeping their distance from humans. They were actively watching them, studying them, and apparently had been doing so for much longer than anyone had realized. I do not know, Captain Hyan said quietly. But I have a feeling that whatever they are waiting for, it has something to do with those ancient markers they are searching for. As the day continued, the human crew worked to uncover more clues about the Vorthok's mysterious behavior. But, with each discovery, the mystery only deepened. The universe's most ancient species clearly knew something about humanity that humans themselves did not know, and whatever that secret was, it was important enough to make beings who had survived, for 50 million years, maintain a careful and constant watch over the newest species in the galaxy. The Memory Keeper was the most beautiful thing Captain Hyan had ever seen. As the massive Vorthok ship approached the station, he could feel its presence in his enhanced mind. It was alive with the memories of 50 million years, carrying the complete legacy of the Eternal Ones. The crown of stars awaits, Elder Vorin said as they prepared to board the ancient vessel. When you claim it, the awakening will spread to every human in the galaxy. Your species will remember who you truly are. Captain Hyan felt both excitement and fear as they walked through the corridors of the Memory Keeper. The walls seemed to pulse with living light, and he could hear whispers in languages that his awakening mind was beginning to understand. Dr. Gina was overwhelmed by the knowledge flowing around her. I can feel the memories of countless civilizations. Stored in this ship, Vorthok had been collecting information about the Eternal Ones for millions of years. They entered a vast chamber at the heart of the ship. In the center, suspended in a beam of pure light, was the crown of stars. It was not made of metal or stone, but of crystallized starlight itself. The device pulsed with power that made space and time bend around it. Your ancestors created this device to serve as the ultimate connection between mind and reality, Elder Vorin explained. With it, the Eternal Ones could reshape matter, manipulate energy, and even influence the flow of time itself. Captain Hyan approached the crown slowly. As he got closer, he felt his consciousness expanding beyond his physical body. He could sense other humans across the galaxy, all experiencing the same awakening. Once you claim the crown, Elder Vorin continued, there will be no going back. Humanity will become something greater than any species that has ever existed. Are you ready for that responsibility? Captain Hyan looked at his crew. Navigator Mingy nodded, her eyes bright with the power flowing through her enhanced mind. Officer Tyke was already communicating telepathically with humans on distant worlds. Dr. Gina was processing information at speeds that would have been impossible for an unawakened human. We are ready, Captain, Hyan said. He reached out and grasped the crown of stars. The moment his fingers touched the crystallized starlight, the universe exploded into new meaning. Knowledge flooded his mind, not just about technology and science, but about the fundamental nature of reality itself. Across the galaxy, every human felt the change. On Earth, the ancient monuments began to glow with their own light. In the colonies, humans suddenly understood technologies that had been beyond their comprehension moments before. In space, human ships began to move without engines, powered by the will of their crews. Captain Hyan felt his consciousness merge with the collective mind of his species. He was no longer just Hyan from Earth. He was part of the Eternal Ones, the first builders, the shapers of worlds. The memories of 65 million years of evolution and preparation flowed through him. The awakening is complete, he said, but his voice now carried harmonics that resonated across dimensions. We remember who we are. Dr. Gina felt her physical form becoming less solid, more energy than matter. The genetic programming is fully activated. We are becoming what our ancestors were before they chose to seed the galaxy with their legacy. Navigator Mingy was no longer bound by the limitations of her physical body. Her consciousness stretched across light years, sensing the gravitational flows of entire star systems. I can feel the structure of space-time itself. We can travel anywhere in the universe, instantly. Officer Tyke was simultaneously communicating with millions of awakened humans across the galaxy. The collective consciousness is forming. We're becoming a single mind with billions of perspectives. Elder Vorin watched the transformation with satisfaction. The Vorthok have fulfilled our purpose. For 50 million years, we have served as guardians of the galaxy, waiting for this moment. Now we can rest, knowing that the true rulers have returned. As the awakening spread, other species throughout the galaxy felt the change. The Eternal Ones were no longer a legend from the distant past. They were a reality in the present. Their power was reshaping the very fabric of space. Captain Hyan, now fully awakened to his true nature, addressed the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. We did not seek this power, but we will not reject the responsibility that comes with it. The Eternal Ones will guide the galaxy toward a future of peace and prosperity. Ambassador Kai bowed deeply. The Zelani people pledge our service to the returned First Builders. We have waited countless generations for your guidance. Similar pledges came from dozens of other species. They had all known this day would come, and they were ready to serve the awakened descendants of the galaxy's creators. But Captain Hyan surprised them all with his response. We do not seek servants, we seek partners, the Eternal Ones learned. Long ago, that true strength comes not from ruling over others, but from working together toward common goals. He gestured to the Vorthok delegation. The Vorthok have shown us what it means to be guardians rather than conquerors. They maintained the galaxy's peace for 50 million years without seeking power for themselves. That is the example we will follow. Dr. Gina felt the collective consciousness of humanity reaching out across the galaxy, not to dominate, but to nurture and protect. Our ancestors seeded the galaxy with life because they believed in the potential of all species. We will honor that legacy. As the ceremony concluded, Captain Hyan realized that the mystery of the Vorthok's behavior had been solved. They had not avoided Earth's orbit out of fear or hostility. They had maintained their distance out of respect for the sleeping gods who had won. They awaken. The universe's most ancient species had spent 50 million years preparing for this moment. They had maintained galactic peace, preserved ancient knowledge, and guided younger species toward wisdom and cooperation, all so that when the Eternal Ones returned, they would find a galaxy worth ruling. Now, as awakened humans took their place among the stars, they carried with them not just incredible power, but the wisdom to use it well. The circle was complete, and the galaxy had its guardians once again, the crown of stars. Pulsed with renewed energy as Captain Hyan and his crew prepared to return to Earth. There, ancient monuments would serve as beacons, calling more humans to awaken to their true nature. The age of the Eternal Ones had begun again, and this time, it would build something even greater than what had come before. In the distance, the Vorthok ships maintained their respectful distance, no longer as watchers waiting for an awakening, but as allies in the great work of shepherding the galaxy toward its destiny among the stars. Captain Hyan could not sleep that night. He stood in his quarters looking out at the stars, thinking about everything they had learned. The idea that humans were descendants of an ancient galactic civilization seemed impossible, but the evidence was becoming too strong to ignore. The next morning, Dr. Gina made a breakthrough that changed everything. She had been studying human DNA samples from the crew, comparing them to genetic information in the Galactic database. What she found made her call an emergency meeting. "I have discovered something that explains everything," Dr. Gina announced. As the team gathered in the conference room, human DNA contains sequences that do not match any known evolutionary pattern on Earth. She activated a holographic display showing complex genetic structures. These sequences have been dormant for millions of years, but they are beginning to activate now that humans are traveling through space. Captain Hyan leaned forward. "What kind of sequences?" "Genetic instructions for abilities that no Earth species should possess," Dr. Gina explained. "Enhanced cognitive function, improved physical resilience, and most importantly, an intuitive understanding of quantum physics and space-time manipulation." Officer Tyke looked confused. "But if these abilities are in our DNA, why do we not already have them?" "Because they were designed to activate only under specific conditions," Dr. Gina said. "Exposure to cosmic radiation, zero-gravity environments, and the unique energy fields found in deep space. The more time humans spend away from Earth, the more these genetic sequences begin to awaken." Navigator Minji suddenly understood. That's why some astronauts experience what we call space adaptation syndrome. It is not a disorder. It is an evolutionary awakening. "Exactly," Dr. Gina confirmed. "The symptoms that doctors have been treating as medical problems are actually signs that human DNA is remembering its original programming." Captain Hyan felt a strange sensation in his mind, like memories that were not his own trying to surface. "So we are not really from Earth at all." "We are from Earth," Dr. Gina corrected. "But our ancestors were not. 65 million years ago, when the original civilization faced extinction, they seeded Earth with genetic material. They designed it to eventually produce a new generation of their species." She changed the display to show Earth's geological history. The extinction event that killed the dinosaurs was not natural. It was caused by the ancient species as they prepared to leave the galaxy. They cleared Earth of its dominant life forms and planted the seeds for human evolution. Officer Tyke was monitoring his communication equipment when he suddenly jumped up. "Captain, I am receiving a direct transmission from the Vorthok. They are requesting permission to meet with us." Captain Hyan felt his heart race. After 5 years of avoiding contact, they want to meet now? "The timing is not coincidental," Dr. Gina said. "They have been monitoring human genetic activation. They know that we are beginning to awaken to our true nature." Captain Hyan made his decision. "Tell them we accept their request for a meeting." An hour later, a small Vorthok shuttle approached the station. It was the first time in 5 years that a Vorthok vessel had come within the 3-light-year boundary they had maintained around humans. The shuttle docked at a special bay that had been prepared for this historic meeting. The Vorthok delegation consisted of 3 beings who looked ancient beyond imagination. Their skin was pale and seemed to glow with its own light. Their eyes held the wisdom of millions of years, and when they spoke, their voices carried the weight of eons. The leader stepped forward and bowed deeply to Captain Hyan. "I am Elder Vorin of the Vorthok. I have lived for 20 million years, waiting for this moment." "Why have you avoided us for so long?" Captain Hyan asked. "Because we were not avoiding you," Elder Vorin replied.
Nice.
"We were showing you respect. We have been the guardians of the galaxy for 50 million years, but we were never meant to rule. We were custodians, preparing for the return of the true cosmic architects." Dr. Gina stepped forward. "You have been waiting for us to remember who we really are." "Yes," Elder Vorin confirmed. "Your species calls itself human, but that is not your true name. You are the Eternal Ones, the first builders, the shapers of worlds. 65 million years ago, when cosmic forces threatened to destroy your civilization, your ancestors made the ultimate sacrifice." He gestured to his companions, who produced a crystalline device that seemed to contain swirling galaxies within its structure. They encoded their entire civilization into genetic templates and scattered them across the galaxy. Earth was chosen as the primary world for your rebirth. Captain Hyan stared at the device. "What is that?" "This is the memory," Core Elder Vorin explained. "It contains the complete knowledge and technology of your ancestors. They left it in our care with instructions to return it when their descendants were ready to reclaim their heritage." Navigator Minji felt a strange pull toward the device, as if it was calling to her. "How do we know we are ready?" "Because you have begun to remember," Elder Vorin said. "Your DNA is awakening. Your minds are expanding. Soon, you will be able to access abilities that have been dormant for millions of years." Officer Tyke looked at his equipment, which was showing energy readings unlike anything he had ever seen. "The device is affecting our technology. It is enhancing our system somehow." "It recognizes you," Elder Vorin said. "The memory core responds only to the genetic signature of the Eternal Ones. It has been waiting 5 million years for this reunion." Dr. Gina approached the device cautiously. As she got closer, she felt her mind expanding, filling with knowledge that seemed to come from another lifetime. "I can understand it. I know how it works." "The awakening has begun," Elder Vorin said with satisfaction. "Soon, all humans will remember their true nature. The galaxy will once again have its rightful rulers." Captain Hyan felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on his shoulders. "But we are not ready for this. We are still learning too. Travel between stars." "You will learn quickly," Elder Vorin assured him. "The knowledge is in your DNA. It only needs to be awakened. The Vorthok have prepared the galaxy for your return. We've maintained peace, advanced technology, and preserved the ancient sites where your ancestors once lived." As the meeting continued, Captain Hyan began to understand the true scope of what was happening. They were returning to reclaim their position as the galaxy's creators and guardians. The universe's most ancient species had not been avoiding Earth out of fear. They had been waiting with the patience of eons for the sleeping gods to awaken and take their rightful place among the stars. Navigator Mingi spent the next morning studying the movement patterns of the Vorthok ships. She had created a detailed map showing how they positioned themselves around every human vessel and colony in space. What she discovered made her hands shake as she worked. The Vorthok were not just avoiding humans. They were controlling where humans could go. Captain Mingi called out as Captain Hyan entered the navigation room. "You need to see this immediately." Activated the holographic display, showing a three-dimensional map of human space. Red dots marked human colonies and ships, while dark blue dots showed Vorthok vessels. "Look at this pattern," Mingi said, pointing to the display. "Every time humans try to expand to a new star system, Vorthok ships arrive first. They position themselves in specific locations that make it difficult for us to establish colonies in certain areas." Captain Hyan studied the map carefully. "Are you saying they are hurting us?" "That is exactly what I'm saying," Minji replied. "They are not avoiding us out of fear. They are guiding us. Every human colony that has been established in the past 5 years has been in a location that the Vorthok allowed us to reach." She zoomed in on a specific region of space. "Look at the Kepler system. Human surveys showed it would be perfect for colonization. But when our ships arrived, they found Vorthok vessels already there. The Vorthok did not attack or threaten us. They simply made it clear that we were not welcome. Captain Hyen felt a cold feeling in his stomach. So our expansion into space has not been our choice at all. It appears that way, Minji confirmed. The Vorthok have been subtly influencing every decision we have made about where to go and where to settle. At the same time, Dr. Gina was making her own disturbing discovery in the archives. Ambassador Kai had helped her get access to restricted historical records. And what she found changed everything she thought she knew about galactic history. The records spoke of an ancient civilization that had vanished exactly 65 million years ago. This civilization had been incredibly advanced, with technology that could manipulate space and time. They had ruled the galaxy for millions of years before suddenly disappearing without a trace. But the most shocking part was what the records said about their disappearance. Instead, it had sown the seeds of their return before vanishing from the galaxy. Dr. Gina checked the dates again and again. 65 million years ago was the exact time when the dinosaurs had died out on Earth. It was the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event, one of the most important moments in Earth's history. She rushed to find Captain Hyen and the others. She found them in the navigation room studying Minji's disturbing map. Captain Dr. Gina said breathlessly, "I found something incredible. There was an ancient civilization that ruled the galaxy 65 million years ago. They vanished at the exact same time that the dinosaurs died on Earth." Captain Hyen turned to face her. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm not sure yet, Doctor," Gina admitted. "But the records say that this ancient species prepared for their return before they disappeared. And the Vorthok seemed to be waiting for something related to that return." Officer Tyke, who had been listening to more Vorthok communications, looked up from his equipment. "That matches what I have been hearing in their messages. They keep talking about the return and the awakening." Dr. Gina spread her research papers on the table. "There is more. The Vorthok have been searching for artifacts and information about this ancient civilization for thousands of years. They maintain something called the Memory Keeper, a massive ship that contains records of their entire 50-million-year history." "The Memory Keeper?" Captain Hyen asked. "It is their most important vessel," Dr. Gina explained. "According to the records, contains every piece of information the Vorthok have ever gathered about the ancient predecessor species. They have been offering incredible technological advances to other species in exchange for any artifacts or information related to these ancient beings." Minji looked up from her navigation display. "So the Vorthok have been preparing for the return of this ancient species for millions of years." "It seems that way," Dr. Gina said. "And somehow, they believe that humans are connected to this return." Captain Hyen walked to the viewing window and stared out at the distant Vorthok ships. "But what is the connection? Why would they think humans are related to a civilization that vanished 65 million years ago?" Before anyone could answer, Ambassador Kai entered the room. His green skin looked paler than usual, and his large eyes showed signs of worry. "Captain Hyen," he said urgently, "I need to speak with you about something very important. Concerns the Vorthok and their behavior toward your species." "What is it?" Captain Hyen asked. Ambassador Kai hesitated for a moment. "I have been in contact with other species leaders across the galaxy. They have been sharing information about Vorthok activities over the past century. What we discovered is very disturbing." He activated a small device that projected another holographic display. This one showed various star systems across the galaxy, each marked with different symbols. "The Vorthok have been visiting ancient ruins on hundreds of different worlds," Ambassador Kai explained. "They have been excavating sites, studying artifacts, and searching for something specific. But they have been most active on worlds that show signs of the ancient predecessor civilization." Dr. Gina stepped forward. "What kind of signs?" "Structures that match the architectural patterns of the vanished species," Ambassador Kai replied. "Energy signatures that suggest advanced technology, and most importantly, genetic markers that suggest the ancient species once lived on these worlds." Officer Tyke looked up from his communications equipment. Genetic markers? You mean they left behind DNA? Not exactly, Ambassador Kai said. But they left behind something that could influence the evolution of life on the planets they visited. The Vorthok had been tracking these influences for millions of years. Captain Hyen felt pieces of a puzzle beginning to form in his mind. Are you saying that the ancient species influenced evolution on multiple worlds? That is what the evidence suggests, Ambassador Kai confirmed. And Earth appears to be one of the worlds they influenced most heavily. Navigator Minji looked at her star charts with new understanding. That would explain why the Vorthok have been so interested in human expansion. They're not just monitoring us. They're waiting to see if we will develop the same abilities as the ancient species. Dr. Gina felt her heart racing. The same abilities? What kind of abilities? Ambassador Kai's expression grew even more serious. According to the oldest records, the predecessor species could manipulate matter at the quantum level. They could travel across vast distances instantly. They could even influence the fundamental forces of the universe itself. And the Vorthok think humans might develop these abilities? Captain Hyen asked. They do not just think it, Ambassador Kai said quietly. They are certain of it. That is why they maintain their distance. That is why they have been guiding your expansion through space. They are waiting for humanity to awaken to its true potential. The room fell silent as the implications of this revelation sank in. The human crew looked at each other with a mixture of excitement and fear. So we are not just a young species learning to travel through space, Captain Hyen said slowly. Are the descendants of the most powerful civilization the galaxy has ever known. That is what the Vorthok believe, Ambassador Kai confirmed. And after 50 million years of preparation, they think the time of awakening is finally at hand. Outside the window, the dark Vorthok ships continued their patient watch, waiting for the moment when humanity would remember who they really were. Captain Hyen stood on the bridge of the starship Harmony, watching the massive space station grow larger through the viewing window. The structure was bigger than any city on Earth, with metal arms stretching out like a giant wheel spinning. Slowly in the darkness of space, lights flickered across its surface like stars, and ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like busy insects. We are approaching the Galactic Council Station, Captain, said Navigator Mingi from her control panel. Her fingers danced across the holographic display as she guided their ship through the busy space traffic. I count 73 different vessel types. Most of them are designs we have never seen before. Captain Hyen nodded and adjusted his blue uniform. This was the moment Earth had been waiting for since they discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. The human race was finally ready to join the galactic community. He had trained for this mission for 2 years, learning alien languages and customs, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of seeing so many different species in one place. Communications are coming in from the station, announced Officer Tyke from his station. The young man wore the special headset that could translate dozens of alien languages at once. They are welcoming us to the Proxima Centauri system and giving us permission to dock at Base 7. Dr. Gina looked up from her research terminal, where she had been studying files about the different alien species they would meet. Her dark eyes were bright with excitement. Captain, the database shows that over 40 different species regularly visit this station. Some of them have been traveling through space for thousands of years. The Harmony moved slowly through the docking bay, past ships that looked like living creatures, and others that seemed to be made of pure crystal. Hyen had seen pictures of alien vessels before, but seeing them in person was completely different. Each ship told a story about the species that built it. He wondered what stories these aliens would tell about human ships. As they docked, the station's artificial gravity system took hold of their ship. Hyen felt the familiar pull of gravity. Returned to normal Earth levels. The station's computer systems were so advanced that they could adjust the environment for each species that visited. Docking complete, Captain Mingi reported. Systems are green. Hyen gathered his team in the airlock. Each of them carried a small device that would help them breathe the station's atmosphere and communicate with the aliens they would meet. The device was a gift from the Galactic Council, showing their willingness to welcome humans into their community. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. They stepped into the station. The corridor was wide and tall, with walls that seemed to glow with their own light. The air smelled different. Not bad, just different. Other beings walked past them, some on 2 legs like humans, others on 4 or 6 legs, and some that seemed to float in the air. A tall, green-skinned being approached them. It wore a simple robe and had large, kind eyes. "Welcome, humans," it said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Kai of the Zolani people. We have been waiting to meet you." Hyan stepped forward and bowed slightly as he had been taught. "You, Ambassador Kai. I am Captain Hyan of the United Earth Fleet. These are my crew members, Navigator Minji, Communications Officer Taik, and Dr. Gina." Ambassador Kai smiled, showing small white teeth. "Come, let me show you our station. Here is much to see and many people to meet." As they walked through the station, Hyan noticed something strange. In the distance, he could see a group of ships that looked different from all the others. They were dark and sleek, with a design that seemed both ancient and incredibly advanced. But what was odd was that they stayed far away from the main station, like they were avoiding something. Ambassador Kai Han said, pointing toward the distant ships. "What species do those vessels belong to?" Ambassador Kai followed his gaze, and his expression changed. His green skin seemed to become a little darker, and his eyes showed what looked like worry. "Those ships belong to the Vorthok," he said quietly. "They are the oldest species in our galaxy. They've been traveling through space for over 50 million years." Dr. Gina stepped forward, her scientific curiosity taking over. 50 million years? That is incredible. They must have seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "Yes, they have," Ambassador Kai agreed. "The Vorthok have more knowledge and technology than any other species. They could easily be the rulers of the galaxy if they wanted to. But they choose to stay apart from most other species." Taik was studying his communication device, which was picking up signals from the Vorthok ships. "I am detecting very strong energy readings from their vessels. The power levels are unlike anything in our databases." "That is normal," Ambassador Kai said. "Vorthok ships use technology that can bend space and time itself. They can travel from one side of the galaxy to the other in moments, but there is something you should know about them." The group stopped walking and turned to face the ambassador. Hyan felt a chill run down his spine. The way Ambassador Kai was speaking suggested that whatever he was about to say was very important. "The Vorthok have a rule," Ambassador Kai continued. "They never come closer than 3 light years to any human ship or any world where humans live. They established this rule the moment your species achieved spaceflight 5 years ago." Minji frowned. "But why? What reason could they have for avoiding us?" Ambassador Kai shook his head. "Nobody knows. They have never explained their reasons. All we know is that they sent a message to the Galactic Council saying they would maintain a containment protocol around all human presence in space. Have followed this rule perfectly for 5 years." Dr. Gina pulled out her datapad and began typing notes. "This is fascinating. Have they ever avoided any other species like this?" "Never," Ambassador Kai said firmly. "The Vorthok have shown no fear of any species in recorded history. They have faced wars, plagues, and cosmic disasters without backing down. But when it comes to humans, they keep their distance." Hyan looked back at the dark ships in the distance. "Have you tried to ask them directly why they do this?" "Many times," Ambassador Kai replied. "But the Vorthok only communicate when they choose to. They have not explained their behavior, and they become very uncomfortable when anyone asks about it." As they continued their tour of the station, Hyan could not stop thinking about the Vorthok ships. What could make a species that had survived for 50 million years avoid humans so completely? What did they know that nobody else did? The questions followed him as Ambassador Kai showed them the trading centers, the diplomatic halls, and the cultural exchange areas. Everywhere they went, other species welcomed them with curiosity and friendliness. But always in the distance, the Vorthok ships remained, watching and waiting, but never coming closer. By the end of their first day on the station, Hyan had met representatives from dozens of different species. Some looked almost human, others were so different that it was hard to believe they came from the same universe. But all of them had one thing in common. They were curious about humanity, and eager to learn about Earth and its people. All except the Vorth, as Hyon prepared for sleep in his quarters aboard the Harmony. He stared out the window at the distant ships. Tomorrow, he would try to find answers. But tonight, he could only wonder what secret the universe's most ancient species was keeping about humanity. Dr. Gina could not stop staring at the memory core. Every time she looked at it, she felt new information flowing into her mind. It was like remembering things she had always known but had forgotten long ago. The awakening process is accelerating, she told Captain Hyen as they studied the device in the station's research lab. I can feel my DNA changing, adapting to access the knowledge stored in this device. Captain Hyen nodded. He had been experiencing similar changes. His thinking was becoming clearer and faster. Complex problems that would have taken hours to solve now seemed simple. How long will this process take? According to the information I am receiving from the memory core, it varies for each individual, Dr. Gina explained. She activated a holographic display showing human colonies across the galaxy. I've been monitoring reports from our settlements. Humans everywhere are experiencing the same changes we are. Enhanced cognitive abilities, improved physical strength, and most importantly, an intuitive understanding of advanced physics. Your Nadagitter Minji entered the lab with an expression of wonder on her face. Captain, I have been working with the navigation systems, and something incredible is happening. I can now plot courses through space without using any instruments. I can sense the gravitational fields of distant stars and feel the flow of space-time itself. Officer Tyke was close behind her, carrying his communication equipment. It is like I understand the fundamental mathematics behind all language. Okay, Elder Vorin, who had been observing their progress, stepped forward. You are experiencing the return of your birthright. Your ancestors designed your species to be the ultimate explorers and builders. Every human carries within them the potential to reshape reality itself. Captain Hyen felt a surge of power flowing through his body, but with this power comes responsibility. What are we supposed to do with these abilities? You will know. When the time comes, Elder Vorin replied. For now, you must understand that your awakening is connected to something much larger than individual enhancement. He gestured toward the viewing window where they could see Earth's ancient monuments. Appearing on long-range sensors, your ancestors left more than just genetic instructions. They left technological beacons hidden throughout the galaxy. Dr. Gina felt her enhanced mind processing this information at incredible speed. The ancient monuments on Earth, the pyramids, Stonehenge, the temples of South America. They are not just historical artifacts, they are quantum transmitters, Elder Vorin confirmed. When humans achieved spaceflight, these monuments began broadcasting signals that only awakened humans can detect. They are calling you home to reclaim your full heritage. Navigator Minji was studying the sensor readings with her enhanced perception. The monuments are emitting energy patterns that match the frequency of human brainwaves. They are designed to complete the awakening process. Captain Hyen realized what this meant. But first, you must understand what you are becoming. Your species was known as the Eternal Ones because you learned to transcend the normal limitations of biological life. You became beings. We are all connected somehow. That is the collective consciousness, Elder Vorin explained. As more humans awaken, you will become part of a galactic mind that spans all of space and time. Your ancestors used this connection to coordinate the construction of entire star systems. Dr. Gina was now accessing memories that belonged to the ancient civilization. It built the foundations of galactic civilization, the trade routes, the communication networks, the basic technologies that all species use. Everything was designed by the Eternal Ones. And now it is time for their descendants to reclaim that legacy, Elder Vorin said. The Vorthok had been preparing for this moment for 50 million years. We have maintained the galaxy as a gift. For your return, Captain Hyen felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on his shoulders. What about the other species? How will they react when they learn that humans are the returning masters of the galaxy. The awakening of the Eternal Ones has been prophesied for millions of years. Every species in the galaxy has been waiting for this moment. It's as if summoned by his words, Ambassador Kai and representatives from dozens of other species entered the lab. Their expressions showed a mixture of awe and reverence. Captain Hyen, Ambassador Kai said, bowing deeply, "We have come to witness the return of the first builders. Our species have waited countless generations for this day." A tall, crystalline being stepped forward. "I am Speaker Zenth of the Crystalline Collective. My people have preserved the ancient teaching that spoke of the return of the Shapers. We are honored to serve you once again." More representatives came forward, each speaking of prophecies and ancient knowledge that had been passed down through their civilizations. Captain Hyen realized that the entire galaxy had been preparing for humanity's return. "We did not expect this," Captain Hyen said. "We thought we were just a young species learning to explore space." "Your ancestors designed the awakening process to be gradual," Elder Vorin explained. "They knew that suddenly gaining cosmic power would be overwhelming. But now that the process has begun, it will accelerate rapidly." Dr. Gina felt her enhanced. "Captain, I am sensing a massive energy signature heading toward our location. It feels familiar, but I cannot identify it." Elder Vorin's ancient eyes brightened. "The Memory Keeper approaches. Our greatest ship, containing the complete records of your civilization. It has been traveling across the galaxy for millions of years, gathering the scattered remnants of your ancestors' knowledge." Through the viewing window, they could see a vessel of incredible size and beauty approaching the station. It was larger than any ship they had ever seen, with flowing lines that seemed to bend space around it. "When you claim it, the awakening will be complete, and humanity will remember its true place in the universe." Captain Hyen looked at his crew, seeing the same mixture of excitement and fear in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. They were no longer just explorers from a young civilization. They had been preparing a gift beyond imagination, the return of the galaxy's rightful rulers to their throne among the stars.